match. Stick with it, aim up all game, and Toronto are beatable.
There you go. South Wales were defeated 20 points to 26 by the Newcastle Thunder. It was Workington 54, Gloucestershire all gold 22 up in Cumbria.
Yeah, it was. I think it was 12 all at half time or 14 all at half time. Lee Randall at Lee AGRL got in touch. He said, same story as last week, has competed for 60 minutes, score at 24-22 to Workington. Could have gone either way, but to concede 30 points in 23 minutes isn't the all goals that started the season so brightly. I hope Alex Gaskell injury isn't too serious, as he's been one of the all goals standout players so far. We go there again this week. Let's hope it's for 80 minutes and not 60 like the last few weeks. Come on, you all goals. I actually think they host Workington this week rather than travel to Workington. So maybe that gives them more of a chance. Before you go on to the last result, South Wales against Newcastle. That's a big result for South Wales, even though they lost 20.
Staying with them.
Yeah, I think that's given that Newcastle, doing well in the table, have not lost a game and have also had a good win in the Challenge Cup as well, didn't they, against Workington? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, bravo.
Last result.
Final game of the weekend, so I could have gone to this. York 22. No, I suspect it would have gone down quite poorly. I did jokingly suggest that instead of going to York, we could go for Sunday lunch at me nan's and then go to Odsall. But, when you jokingly suggest something to gauge to take the temperature of the response.
So she's not a rugby league fan, though?
Not as yet, no. But in the summer, I've managed to kind of sell it in terms of, the summertime and you can have a drink. Seems to have sold it, at least. Should give it a chance, at least. So we'll see how we do. But it was York 22, North Wales 26. What does that do to the League One standings?
Well, Barrow sit top on points difference after the spanking of Hemel, with Toronto and Newcastle also 3 from 3. Behind them, Doncaster and Hunslet didn't play this week, but they're also 100% from their 2 games. They were obviously due to play Whitehaven and Oxford. At the bottom, Hemel are already minus 158 after only 3 games in. Coventry and South Wales also have 3 losses from 3 but have been more competitive.
Yes, hard to be less competitive, I would say, than Hemel. Okay, NRL round 4 play this weekend, Mark. South Sydney Rabbitohs were defeated 6 points to 20 by table toppers the Sydney Roosters.
Yeah, Tom Burgess 110 metres coming in for his suspended brother, and Sam Burgess played but he got a head impact injury, went off and didn't return.
There you go. Okay, it was Penrith Panthers 40, Newcastle Knights nothing.
Yeah, I saw this one. This was the breakfast time game on Friday, and the Panthers were every bit worth their 40 points nil drubbing. Joe Wardle, though, made his debut from the bench for the Knights, one he'll not want to remember too much, but it was already an absolute humiliation by the time he came on. All the pieces were working for the Panthers.
Looking good, aren't they? Brisbane Broncos got a narrow drop goal victory, 13 points to 12 over the green machine of the Canberra Raiders.
Yeah, Hodgson and White have both played in this one. Both played quite tough. Hodgson had picked up a knock again, as he seems to every bloody week at the moment. It was a close game. It was an exciting game, but the Broncos just edged it. It
was a big win for everyone's second favourite NRL side, the Manly Seagulls. 36 points to nothing over the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs.
Are they?
No, that was the joke. Everyone fucking hates Manly, don't they?
Right, okay. But James Graham played for the Bulldogs, but on the end of that scoreline, unsurprisingly, he didn't put any massive numbers up, unfortunately.
No. Parramatta Eels were defeated by my Sharkies, 6 points to 20. The Gold Coast... That got a bit squeaky then, didn't it? 6 points to 20. The Gold Coast...
happiness coming out.
No, I think I was suppressing a belch, man. It was Gold Coast Titans 26, North Queensland Cowboys 32.
Yeah, Joe Greenwood played from the bench for the Titans in a topsy-turvy exciting game, but the Cowboys never really looked like they weren't going to win, even though the scoreline suggests there was a threat of that.
There you go. It was a defeat, but not quite as hefty this week for West Tigers, going down 14 points to 22 against the Melbourne Storm. And the final game of the weekend saw the St George Illawarra Dragons defeat the New Zealand Warriors by 26 points to 12.
Yeah, and Gareth Widdop got out of the wreckage, stumbled his way
to hero sort of stuff, isn't it, this?
Yeah, for those who haven't picked up on the story, his car was written off on his travels on the way to the game, or to the venue anyway. But yeah, he contributed a try assist, 5 goals from 5 attempts. His strong season continues, and it'll need to with the way Gale and Williams are going. And God only wishes one of these guys, played on the right side.
Well, one of them's going to get the chance, you suspect, don't you? What does that do to the standings early days in the NRL then, Mark?
Well, the Roosters and the Storm sit first and second, respectively, with 4 wins from 4. The Dragons are a surprise third place side, with the Cowboys in 4th. There are 6 teams with 1 win in the bottom 6. West Tigers on points are bottom.
There you go. So that is the world of rugby league well and truly covered. Let's take a look to the future now as we bring you our predictions for round 7 of Super League. Right then, Mr. Mark, round 7 of Super League. I have looked up and down these fixtures and there's some exciting games in prospect, but some difficult ones to tip from my point of view. I suspect I'm not going to get the 5 or 6 out of 6 that I got this week. Thursday night sees St Helens visit the AJ Bell, and despite their victory over Warrington the week before, Mark, I'm going to tip for Salford on this one. I think they're coming on a good result and a strong attacking display against Widnes. They'll be tested more in terms of cracking a defence against St Helens, but I think at home we might see a slightly surprising victory in favour of the Red Devils.
I don't think it would be surprising. I think we're talking about 2 pretty even sides. Saints probably have a little bit stronger in the prop forward department, but I would say that the back division's slightly more potent from Salford. And obviously they've got players who've been playing together a bit longer. Okay, Todd Carney thrown into the mix a little bit, but I'm doubting he's going to start. Plus Salford at home, other than that first half against Wigan, have been pretty strong this year. Yeah. And so I like a Salford St Helens Thursday night game. I'm going to go 30 points to 20 in favour of Salford myself. So a bit more than you, I think.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, so we're on the same way so far. Friday night then, Mark. Castleford take on Huddersfield down at the Jungle. This goes only one way for me. The Castleford Tigers show that they can, first of all, come back from being blown out of the water early doors in the first half, and that the result against Salford was a bit of a blip. Huddersfield, on the other hand, are serving up largely what we got used to last season for one reason or another. 32 points to 10 in favour of Castleford against Huddersfield.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if Salford was a blip or a team that were really well drilled and well prepared to take on Cass, but I don't think Huddersfield will be that. No. Especially down at the Menderhose. So 36-14 I'm going to go in favour of Castleford, and I think that it could be anything up to 50 or 60, or it
could get painful for Huddersfield fans.
It could do if Castleford have two golden periods in the game rather than the one that they've been getting in some games. Then they'll pull away. They scored 40 points again last week when they were barely in the game for 15 minutes. Mind blowing.
It's astounding. Leeds take on Wigan in the televised game on Friday night. Mark, I'm going to go for a narrow Leeds Rhinos victory, and let me tell you why. Not quite as bad as the injury crisis at Hull FC, but Wigan are a bit decimated at the minute, and Leeds are on that crest of the wave now. Things are starting to turn. So, whilst this Wigan game is the big game out of the 4 that they've had and targeted for the month, and there's definitely an uptick in terms of the calibre of opposition, I think the injuries that you guys have suffered is going to be a leveller, and the fact that Leeds is forward pack and now clicking more creatively leads me to think that in front of the South Stand there's going to be a 4th consecutive Leeds win. 22 points to 20. Very narrow, but I think Leeds are going to win.
Well, I think we're going to win, obviously. And
tell us why.
Hull did the damage down the channels just wide of the middle, really, in the game against us, whereas Leeds would be all about the middle. So I think that maybe some of the problems we saw defensively might get fixed up for this game for Wigan. I also feel that if we get Farrell back as rumoured, Gildart back as rumoured, or not rumoured, as hinted by the coach, and
he's close,
maybe Sutton or something like that, then and Gelling and Flower should be fine. Flower's a head knock. Gelling obviously his fire wasn't too bad because he was able to play, but it wasn't good enough to really put everything into it. But if we get Gildart back, that covers that off anyway because you've got a centre. So I'm confident that we keep scoring tries anyway. We scored 4 again against Hull, and Hull defended really well for most of the game. So I think we can. I don't see why we can't win it. 26-16.
Okay, there you go. So we've forked in the road there. Warrington take on Hull FC on Saturday afternoon. We've talked about this and alluded to Warrington not being too far off, but I don't know if Hull get it right and don't underestimate them. I think they'll come away with a win. I think there's enough in the Hull tank for them to do that. 24 points to 16 in favour of the Black and Whites, Mark.
Oh yeah, no, Warrington are a million miles off, but they're a million miles off at just a couple of things.
Yeah.
And they've shown against Brisbane that they can get those things right. They've shown in patches against Castleford that they can. And I actually think this might be the one to swing it around. We know about Hull FC's well-documented injury crisis, but in all seriousness, Houghton, if he's out of the game,
we're just shearing listeners off the woolen coat that is Super League part of the video, aren't we?
But if we're being really serious about it, Houghton, with all the players they talked about missing, the other players are replaceable to an extent, and Watts will be back, which is a big boost for them, and he won't be going and getting himself in trouble. I wouldn't suspect in this game.
No.
He will be back this week, isn't he? He's done his suspension, hasn't he?
2 matches.
He had 3, I think, and
We've got missing one more week, hasn't he? It's only been 2 weeks.
Has it?
I think he's missing this week.
Right. No, Turgott was the one banned from the Saints game.
You're right. Turgott was in for him.
He was already
back.
I think Watts is back. If Houghton's a massive miss, but they can plan around it and have some sort of way to address that. I'm sure it's not as bad as when it's an in-game loss. Sometimes I think, but that's a big miss, and I think Warrington might be able to take advantage of that. And there you go.
Right.
That's partly why I think the win. And I just think at some point they're bound to stop dropping as much ball, and they're bound to bounce off a couple of tackles that are sticking. And if Hull FC's tackle success percent against Wigan was 86%, you're going to bounce off a few tackles if they're going to be like that.
They are indeed. Okay, Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m. then sees Lee Centurions taking on the Widnes Vikings. Lee are going to blow them away early doors, and then it's going to be a slug out between the ill-disciplined Centurions and the indifferent Widnes Vikings. 28 points to 8 in favour of the men from the Lee Sports Village.
Yeah, 30 points to 10 for me. Lee have just obviously the better side in this matchup as things stand.
There you go. Catalan Dragons take on Wakefield though on Saturday afternoon on Sky Television, and this is one I found tricky to call because Wakefield are improving and they're looking good in terms of not so much their goal line defence, but they're giving people more of a game at the moment, and the Catalan Dragons are so patchy they may as well be called the Patchaland Dragons. I'm going to go with home field advantage though in a low-scoring, turgid 16-14 victory.
I think it'll be a bit more exciting than you've got it pegged down for, just because I think both sides are allowing opportunities for their opponents to score on them and
that's true.
And so I'm going to go 28 points to 24, but I'm going to wedge it to Catalan. Although I could flip a coin on this one at the time, but this far ahead. We do our picks and we live by them.
Yes, we do. We live and die by our picks, don't we? But you must not forget to make your Super Brew predictions and to make changes to your Dream Team lineups if you've still got transfers available. Follow the action as it happens this weekend by giving our friends at SL Clubs a follow on Twitter. They are big supporters of the show and we're big fans of theirs, so show them some love and give them a follow.
I'm actually just thinking I don't know if I've got any plans on Saturday, so I might go to one of these games, Warrington or Lee.
I have relatives flying in from Miami.
Ooh, interesting.
Well, he's a Geordie, so he's not like some exotic American. It's just my cousin Ian from South Shields, but he lives over there now.
Yeah, but it's interesting because you won't see him so regular.
No, we do not.
There you go, that's exciting.
So that's what's occupying me on Friday afternoon. He's bringing his young son with him as well. His 1-year-old, my half cousin, second cousin, Owen. So Erin's very excited to meet the baby. Right, okay, so after that little meander, Championship game of the week, mate, what have you picked for us?
Hull KR versus Batley.
Right.
Obviously, Hull KR seem like they're walking through the division, but Batley have been in really good form recently, battering Toulouse in the